This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 29th. Tonight is the Darien Planning Zoning Commission meeting. We have a public hearing and a general meeting to go through. It's also a night that the Yankees are playing and the presidential debate is going on. So we're going to try to whiz through this thing efficiently. First item on the agenda is a public hearing for the special permit application number 117 F as in Frank, Noroton Presbyterian Church, 2011 Boston Post Road, proposal to construct a 40 by 60 asphalt recreational sports court and a retaining wall adjacent to the barn on the north portion rear of the property and perform related site development activities. The 8.96 plus or minus acres subject property is located on the north side of Boston Post Road on the northwest corner formed by its intersection with Noroton Avenue and is shown on Assessor's map number 43 as lots 3, 4, 5 in the R1 third zone. I'll take this for a little bit of background for commissioners. The Noroton Presbyterian did a big addition a couple of years back. They made a beautiful new parking lot in the rear that is semicircular-ish.
Yeah, with pervious pavers.
With pervious pavers. We went through this, I think in Nauseam at the time, and now it looks like they want to put in a basketball type thing in the back, which makes some sense because you can't play basketball inside. Jeremy, what do we got?
Sure. If you've been to the property, you're familiar with the two buildings in the back of the property. One is known as the shack and the other is the barn. One's a red building and one's a white building. And right now there's an area in between where there's a basketball hoop and a small flat area to play. What the church is looking to do is expand that area, make it flatter, and basically allow an area to be created that's larger than what's there now for basketball and other recreational sports. There is currently some lighting on the two buildings, but there's no new lighting as part of this proposal. What's there in terms of lighting will remain there. So the proposal before the commission this evening is for a special permit for the sport court and the adjacent regrading between I'll call it the south side of the existing basketball hoop area to make it more level. Right now, there's an area that if you were playing basketball, the ball would run down the hill towards the parking lot. So as Steve mentioned, there was a significant renovation of the building and the parking lot a few years ago where they put in an all new drainage system. The area of new pavement is about 600 square feet. So I see Mr. Lee is here, as well as representatives from the Noroton Presbyterian Church to add any new information to that.
Who's presenting the application?
No, this is a neighbor.
Oh, okay, great. Mr. Lee's presenting?
Or Daniel Kolakowski.
Yeah, I'll do any presenting. If you'd like, if you have the slides available, if you could bring up slide number 1 so people can see, is that possible? The slide I sent over on Friday.
Fred's our quarterback, so we'll see if he gives us the thumbs up.
Dan, I'm sorry, I don't know that those slides that you sent over. I do have the site plan here, and I will pull that up for you.
Is it possible you share the screen with me and I could bring it up?
I can do that, yes. Just give me 1 second.
I want to talk to you. I think the October meeting, we could do it here. Yes? Do you want to run it by you? Can you just move it for a second?
Yeah, we can do it out of business. Maybe the director's report at the end.
Okay.
Then you should have control of the screen.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dan, the floor is yours.
I think they need access to my computer. Okay. Okay. Okay, can you see the photo?
No, we cannot.
Hmm. All right. And screen sharing is not working too well. Just by the way, yeah, there's an 8:04 email on Friday morning that I sent over.
Dan, we have a very good packet from you, and each commissioner's got it.
Okay.
P&Z office, so if you want to
Yeah,
just talk
good.
through, it doesn't look that big of a project. There's an existing basketball court there
No.
already.
Yeah. No, and so if you bring up what you have, I guess.
There's a picture with the red barn and the white barn, and a basketball hoop in the middle. And somebody drew,
Is that a photo?
yep, it sure is.
Okay. Yeah, so that is, you can see the basketball hoop and you can see how much paving is already existing there. That
Yep.
is about 46 feet of paving, and we're looking to expand it to 60 feet, another 14 feet in the south towards the parking lot, and keep the same width. So
Yep.
as Jeremy had said very well, that we're just looking at leveling the court. We'll need to put some fill on the southwest corner to bring that level up a little bit. And the only lighting there is security and safety lighting on the buildings. No lighting that would be, you'd be able to play at night when it's dark out. Insufficient for that. So it'd just be daylight capabilities there.
Okay, and then you're gonna add probably pavers. That's gonna do a little bit of a sidewalk to go from the parking lot to the basketball court. And then also
The
add
intent there is to use gravel for the 4-foot wide walk from the parking lot up to the court with gravel, so it's permeable.
so it's like stone dust or something like that, something along those lines.
Something that will be compacted and heavy enough to, safe enough to walk on.
Okay, and then the last question is, you have a 2 to 3 foot retaining wall on the, I would call it the north side or the east side, west side of the property?
Southwest.
Well, there'll be multiple retaining walls, I think. We're going to rebuild one on the northeast corner. There's one there currently just adjacent to the white barn, just because so it matches the rest of them and it squares that corner off. But on the southwest corner, yes, there'll be a retaining wall that comes around the corner. But
Yep.
it's also possible, if we can't regrade, that we'll need a retaining wall from the white barn southwards towards the corner and around, because that goes uphill there from the Noroton Avenue.
Okay, if you keep it under 4 feet, there's no P&Z issue. If it goes over 4 feet,
You would need a zoning and building permit.
you need a zoning building permit. If it's 2 to 3 feet, does it need a building permit anyway?
It depends on the design.
So you'll probably
There's
have,
no way it'll be over 4 feet. And our plan is to keep it under 3 feet.
okay, does the building department sign off on that?
To look, they'd have to take a look at it.
The building department may have some comments on there at the time, but it because it's so short or low, it doesn't have, to my knowledge, it does not have to be an engineered wall. Correct.
And the idea is it'll be a Versalock structural wall.
Those are real nice. Good idea.
And Dan, one thing you and I talked about is the hours of the court. Can you explain to the commission how it's used now and how it will be used in the future?
It'll be used similarly, except if it's a nicer court, I think it'll get more use than it currently does. And that is, I'm going to give you a simple answer, then a more complex answer, I guess. The simple answer is we'll never use it before 8 o'clock in the morning, and it'll never be later than 9 o'clock at night. But 9 o'clock at night only works for that period around June 21st, when late spring, early summer, when it's light enough to play that late. Other than that, as you go into the rest of the season, either because of temperatures in the winter, the snow and ice on the court, the earlier sunset, that it could go to early afternoon would be the latest that, or late afternoon would be the latest that we would play in the winter season. Remembering that school's in session for 9 months of the year, so there won't be much play during the days of the week. So and it's all tied to organized church events that aren't as wide open as a public town court would be.
That sounds good. Okay. So you might have like a church event with teenagers that goes from, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you're thinking, in July?
That's a possibility. Yes, taking up the evening in the summer. Certainly the summer will be busier than the off seasons will be.
Good for you. Okay. I think I'm good. Can I ask the commissioners? Any commissioners have any questions on this application?
I've just got one.
Yeah, Jim.
I assume that the neighboring properties have been notified of this hearing. I wonder if there's any reaction from any of them.
One of the neighbors was just here a minute ago. Jim,
A gentleman from Hedgerow, he had no comment.
the only thing they cared about was that it was not going to be lit up like a Christmas tree.
And there are some neighbors online now.
And I think we also have some neighbors online, so I might check in with them.
Actually, I'm a neighbor. This is Al Miller. I'm at,
We'll get to you in 1 second now. Let me just get to the commissioners. I'll open up to the public in a minute if you don't mind. Jennifer and George, you guys good? Jennifer's checking.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Kara Gately is not with us tonight, and either is Larry Warble. So the what's the tape after. Would anybody from the general public would like to speak to this application? Go first, sir.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, I live right across Noroton Avenue, 22 Noroton.
And what's your name? Al Miller.
Al
Okay, go ahead.
Miller. Yep. So I was a little concerned about the noise, especially at late at night. And I know another neighbor of mine talked to me about the concern at night about noise. So there are no lights now. I have two questions. At 9 o'clock is getting pretty late in the summertime. One is, do you have any plans to install permanent lighting where they'd be able to play after dusk? And the second question is, if you do install permanent lighting, do you need a variance? Do you need a permit for that? And will there be another meeting like this if you do?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Miller, the regs are very specific that any lighting would require a separate permit and a separate hearing. So that's not part of this package, but if they ever wanted that in the future, it would be a separate application and a separate hearing just like this.
And by the way, we have no intention of putting lighting on that court.
Okay, thank you. I did review all the material and I didn't see any provisions for permanent lighting. So that's all I have. Thank you, Jeremy and Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to speak to this application? Anybody in the chat box there, Fred?
No, we have no one, Steve.
Okay, hearing none, we can entertain a motion to close. Want to miss anything?
Yeah. No, there's a couple neighbors, but if they have no comments, we can close the hearing.
Fantastic. If no more, there's no more discussion or debate on this, we can entertain a motion to close. I think that's going to be from Jennifer Leahy and seconded by George Riley. All those in favor? Thank you. Okay.
The commission's closed the hearing and they'll deliberate and decide it at a future meeting in October.
Thank you, sir. The next thing on the agenda is 170, I should probably read the whole thing,
Yep,
right?
if you could.
Okay. The next item is special permit application number 315, land filling and regrading application number 486. Robert Thorsen and Sarah Thompson at 170 Ridge Acres Road. Proposal to construct a 50 by 90 recreation sport court and a retaining wall on the southwest portion of the property, and to perform related site development activities. The 3.73 plus or minus acre subject property is located on the north side of Ridge Acres Road, approximately 200 feet east of the intersection with Brookside Road, and is shown on Assessor's map number 4 as lot number 38 in the R2 zone. Yesterday, on Thursday at 3:14 in the afternoon, we got a letter request to continue the public hearing for a later date.
That later date is October 20th, Tuesday, October 20th, 8 p.m. And whether it's online or in town hall, it'll probably be online. And you'll have to check the website for the details of that online meeting on October 20th.
So if anyone in the public domain or the audience, I told the audience, is here for 170 Ridge Acres Road, that is being continued to October 20th. Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry. Oh, Jesus. The next item we have is 88 Nearwater Lane. Okay. Here we go. Coastal site plan review number 232A, flood damage prevention application number 260A, land filling and regrading application number 205A, Kyle and Elizabeth Kehoe at 88 Nearwater Lane, proposal to raise the existing residence and to construct a new single-family dwelling, generally in the same location, install a spa and patio, reconfigure the driveway area, and perform related site development activities within regulated areas, including regrading of the property, installation of stormwater management, and establishing connection to the sanitary sewer. The 1.51 plus or minus acres subject property is located on the north side of Nearwater Lane, approximately 800 feet north of its intersection with Juniper Road, and is shown on Assessor's map number 57 as lot number 3B in the R1 zone. Jeremy, what do we got?
If you've been to the site, you'll see that the property comes off a long driveway off Nearwater Lane to a house that you have to go through some woods. It's a wooded property with lots of tall trees. And at the back side of that is the water. And so what they're looking to do is raise the existing residence, construct a new residence, tie it into the sewer system, but also have the new house conform with all the flood regulations. As reference, the back of this property faces the back of 40 Pasture Lane. You may recall the commission looked at a dock for that property a couple months ago, where they wanted to do a dock at 40. This property also has a dock, and it juts out right almost close to 40 Pasture. The dock is not part of this proposal. What you're going to be looking at is the new house and the coastal site plan review, looking at impacts on the coast, flood damage prevention, confirming that the house meets the flood regulations, and land filling and regrading, looking at the effects of the grading on the property. Professional engineer Doug DeVesta is here to present the application.
Did we get, hold on one second, Doug. I saw Darren's thing. Did we get a EPC application on this one?
There's no inland wetlands.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We got 2 others.
Is that correct, Doug? Or hold on a second.
That is correct, Jeremy.
Yeah, no inland wetlands. This is just tidal wetlands that you're looking at.
Right, title. So falls under jurisdiction of planning and zoning.
Okay, Doug, please take it away.
Okay, sure. Good evening. My name is Doug DeVesta, professional engineer, represent the applicant. Up on the screen here is the existing conditions survey. As Jeremy mentioned, Nearwater Lane is off to our, I guess that's going to be our south area, or actually west, coming down a gravel driveway, which I'm outlining with my cursor, to a detached garage, and then a little gravel parking area pathway up to the existing house with wooden decks and patios in the back and overlooking Darien River. This is not labeled correctly. It's actually Darien River, not the Goodwise River, because we're south of the Rings End Road bridge there. So that's the existing conditions. Now let's take a look at the proposed conditions. This here you can probably see a little better. Come on, computer. Bear with me for a second here. Okay, we'll continue on. As mentioned, we are in the, okay, here's the gravel driveway coming in to the existing detached garage and then the proposed house. As mentioned earlier on, that this is in the R1 zone. We are butting the Darien River, which is highlighted here in blue. The lot area is about 1.5 acres. It crosses a paper road. This is a paper road here that leads out to Nearwater Lane. That was done back in, I think, in the 50s, 60s or something like that. So the lot is fairly, where the house is going, is fairly level with a cutout area for the existing house. The proposal is to raise the existing house to construct a new dwelling in the same general location as the existing house, raise it up so it's at least 1 foot above the mean high water, 1% flood area, flood zone of 14. So the house is going to go up to elevation 16.33. I'll be on a crawl space with smart vents to provide to relieve any hydrostatic pressure if it does flood in the area. The site is going to be regraded to accommodate the raising of the house itself. Proposing a short retaining wall under 4 feet, 3 foot high along the backside of the house here to limit the amount of disturbance and grading going out towards the jurisdiction line, coastal jurisdiction line, which is shown here in yellow. This is the jurisdiction line at elevation 5.5 going around the property. Included into the house, we're going to extend the driveway up to a parking court to a 2-car garage that's attached to the house and still leaving the existing detached garage where it is. The house currently is on a septic system, which is located on the west side of the house. That will be abandoned. Septic tank will be crushed. That will be tied into a grinder pump that will pump it out along the edge of the driveway up in towards the sewer main on Nearwater Lane. So that's part of the application. What we're going to do is because we're in the lower third of the watershed, we're looking at water quality volume. So we've asked for a waiver of the section 880 for a full drainage study. So we're asking for a waiver on that, but we're looking to collect the water quality volume from the impervious areas, which include the roof areas and the patios with channel drains around the patios, and bring that over to the existing septic system, which consists of 4x4 galleries. We need approximately 404 cubic feet of storage for the 1 inch of runoff, and the galleries themselves will have over 700 cubic feet of storage. We have plenty of storage in there. The tanks, the galleries we pumped out prior to any, while the construction is going on. It'll be a sit rest for a period of time, probably 6 to 8 months, how long it takes to build the house. And then those will be dried out and that'll be used for the detention system or for the bioretention area to collect the water quality. In terms of the coastal area management, we have elevations. The highest elevation is 13 right along the westerly property line, going down to an elevation around 1.4, which is along the water edge. The existing house first floor elevation is around 11.8, so it's well below the 1% flood elevation of 14. That's right now. So again, we're going up to 16.3. So we're raising the house up well above the flood zone. The vegetation in the property, as Jerry mentioned, is wooded, ornamental plantings around the existing house, and so some mature trees up and through the upper portion of the property away from the house. When the construction is done, landscaping would be put back with lawn areas as currently, which is currently out there right now. Coastal resources basically are your tidal wetlands along the edge of the water and in towards the coastal jurisdiction line, as well as the flood zone areas. Again, site is existingly connected to the municipal water system, and on septic system, again, that will be removed and then hooked, tied into a grinder pump and pump it out towards the near water lane to the sewer system out there. Again, all construction is within the footprint of an already disturbed area. The boulder wall will help eliminate any pushing out towards the jurisdiction line and reduce any grading and filling beyond that point there. Again, we are within the 100-foot upland review area of the mean high water, which is the red line, which is shown on the plan here. So this red line here is the review area for CAM, or the 100-foot review area. So again, the existing house was all in that area, and the proposed house is still in that same general location. We feel that what we're proposing is a benefit to the area by collecting the first inch of runoff, or the water quality volume, and detaining that, allowing it to infiltrate into the ground. If it overflows, it will go out to a splash pad and then sheet flow out towards the Darien River. That really concludes what I had to present. I'll be glad to answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
Steve, I got something, or two quick somethings.
Go ahead, Jim.
First of all, the existing garage is going to remain in place, and a new garage is going to be part of the redevelopment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Second question is, on some of the renderings, including the one that's on your screen now, there's a dock sketched in, but I understand that's not part of this application?
That's existing. If you go back to the existing, this is the existing condition survey from the surveyor, and there's the dock right there. So it's existing.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
It might come back later to get redone. Doug, Steve Mulvaney here. With regards to the sewer system, are you pumping water upstream? You keep saying like crushed galleries or something like that.
Well, we have this area right here, Steve, was the existing 4x4 galleries that was used for the septic system.
That I got.
So that's going to be disconnected from the septic system, and a grinder pump will be put in to pump that out to the storm sewer system.
That's the grinder pump is the word. Now, is this grinder pump, is it below or above the 16-foot elevation? Because if it's above, one would be surprised, and two, you need a backup generator. No, if you're going uphill.
We are having a generator out here. We have a generator pad right here.
Okay.
So we are proposing a generator.
Got it.
So yes, it is. It's a pump system. So we're pumping it up to the sewer system in near water lane.
You need a pump just because it's a long run, or it's because it's above grade?
Elevation difference. Elevation differences. We're lower. It goes down and it goes back up again.
Okay, got it.
Because it's lower through this portion of the driveway, then rises back up towards closer to the paper road, and then goes back down, rises back up again.
Okay, and then the only other thing, can you just explain this paper street to me again? It's not a driveway, but it's
no, it's a paper road. One other thing I want to mention that we did get comments from Darren Ostafine, reviewed this, and we did respond back. And in that package, at the end there, shows you the schedule, shows the D, the Schedule A, that we have rights to pass and repass over that for traveling, and also to install any utilities that need to be done. And continue on with that package there, you'll see a re-subdivision map that dates back to 1994 that was approved by the Darien Commission, that shows a future road, parcel C3, which shows a paper road there that ties into this parcel. So 1974, it was approved as a paper road. going out to near Water Lane.
Okay. And then the last thing I think is a Jeremy question. Is there an existing variance for this? Because of this side yard? It's literally that's 150, it's only 101.
Yeah, this lot was created, I don't know whether it was by variance or predated zoning, I don't know. But I don't know why, yeah, no, they don't need to, because they've already created the lot, it's not a
Right.
conforming lot.
Okay. Okay. So this is even not odd because it doesn't have the 150 width that's required, but it's a big piece of dirt. Okay, I'm good. George or Jennifer? Ladies first, Jen, anything?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, George, anything?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And I did see the back and forth, Doug, between you and Mr. Osterfine, so all that stuff I think is taken care of.
Correct.
There wasn't much in here. He just was upset that you called it Darien River or something like that.
Yes, and I should have picked up on that myself. I should know better.
That's all right. We good? Can I open the public?
Yep.
Would anybody in the public domain like to speak to this application? And Fred, can you check the chat box too, please? If you want to speak, just start talking. Okay,
No one in the chat box, Steve.
great. Okay. Anything else, sir? No, nothing else. Okay. Since there's no other comments on it, it's pretty straightforward. They're building a new house in the back of the next lot, views of water. We're taking the old septic system and making it into a stormwater retention system, like a Celtic system, and hook it up to sewer lines. So that's always a good thing. With that said, I entertain a motion to close this agenda item. That's from Jennifer. And the second from George Riley. Yep. All in favor? Thank you,
Aye.
everyone. Doug,
you.
stick around. We might see you again tonight.
You might see me a couple more times.
All right. Moving on. We're doing good so far. Bear with me, folks. Let me clear my deck. Thank who is it? I bet you Nico, that might be Peter. Okay, next up, we have also site plan review number 200B as in boy, Pledge damage prevention application, 217B, land filling and regrading application number 45, Rajat and
JPEG.
2572 Boston Post Road. Proposal to construct an in-ground pool, including expansion of an existing patio at the rear of a residence, southern portion of the site. Expand the existing on-site stormwater management system and perform related site 9.8 plus minus acres subject property is located in the south side of Boston Post Road, approximately 170 feet east of its intersection of Catapult, is that right? Catalpa Terrace, and is shown on Assessor's map number 54 as lot number 4 in the R1 zone. This is an existing nice house at the end of Hollow Tree Ridge Road on the opposite side.
Holly,
No, Hollow Tree Ridge Road comes down.
oh, yes, yeah.
And then you run right into their driveway. It's a very, very long lot that goes back to the Holly Pond. And it looks like the owner wants to put a pool in the backyard.
Right. In this case, they're putting the pool right up against the back of the house. The amount of lawn space in the backyard is quite limited. And because the pool was within 100 feet of Holly Pond, it required review and action by the Environmental Protection Commission. That was approved, and that copy of that approval is in your packets. This is referred to the state of Connecticut DEP. They did not have any comments on this. And Doug DeVesta, professional engineer, is here to describe the plan. And in your packets is also the wetlands plan prepared by Matt Cobb.
Mr. DeVesta, take it away, sir.
Good, thank you. Good evening, Doug DeBesta, professional engineer representing the applicant. With me tonight on the meeting is Matt Pop, the landscape architect, in case you have any questions regarding his plan, which we'll pull up in a minute. And also Raj Gupta, the owner of the property, is also on the meeting with us tonight. As described, the property is a long, narrow lot off of Boston Post Road, comes with a gravel driveway to a house located probably in the middle of the parcel. Continuing down further to the south, you've got Holly Pond, which is shown here in blue. There is a little bit of retaining wall here, basically probably to when it was constructed to keep the spread of the lawn out into the tidal wetlands area or the marshy area. The proposal is to construct a new pool in the backyard. We've had this, as Jeremy mentioned, we went through EPC. At September 2nd, we got the approval from that commission to work within the upland review area of Holly Pond, because Holly Pond also has a jurisdiction of EPC. There was a detention system in the property that was done back in 2000, I think 2006. This property was developed 2004 by Rocco DeAndrea. They did the site development of this property. Since then, Raj and his family bought the house, and now they're looking to put a pool in. So drainage system was installed. You see there's a piece located in the front of the house here to collect the driveway runoff. There's also a piece that was underneath the where the proposed pool is going to go. We're going to take that and move that further to the west. Northwest of the property to accommodate that flow from the runoff from the back of the house there. We're also looking at collecting the runoff from the new patio areas that we're proposing with some channel drains and tie into a small drainage system. Again, this is in the lower third of the watershed. It's on Holly Pond, directly on Holly Pond. So we're looking at collecting the water quality volume, so the first inch of runoff that will be collected from the impervious areas. One other minor thing we're doing is squaring off the back patio here. Right now, it's a curved area, so we're looking to take that and just square that off. So there's the existing gravel or curved patio. We're going to square that off there. So we're looking at putting the pool in here. Elevation 12.3 is the coping. Then just sloping it down towards the existing lawn area. The pool equipment will be placed alongside the existing terrace area with some steps now walking down into the lower grass area. In terms of coastal area, the house is up at elevation 22, so it's well above the 100-year elevation. Lower level is at 13.3, which is it's an existing house, so that's not going to be changing at all. The vegetation, it's a manicured lawn area with ornate vegetation around the building with some evergreens along the northwest property corner there, and then just mature trees and evergreens along the south and east portion of the property itself. The property does, again, we have a flood hazard zone on here, and with the storm and the coastal jurisdiction line is around 5.5 here on this property as well. That's really the only thing, is that we had another alternative. The client would like to have seen the pool more perpendicular to the house itself, but we convinced him that to go parallel the house, and he was fine with that. So we're providing a pool that's parallel the house versus perpendicular, and this was all approved by the Inland Wetlands Commission as well. That's really it. It's a real basic plan just for the pool, installation of the pool, and some minor regrading around the pool itself. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Great, thanks, Doug. My only question, Jeremy, it's right up against the setback line.
That's true.
So why did they center it closer to the middle? It's right up against the setback line, and you have a couple of items in that area, in the buffer zone.
One of the issues here is the existing patio behind the house is not very large.
Right?
So if they put the pool there, they would really have no outdoor patio area. And the pool would be literally right outside that patio door here. So by putting it to the side, it still gives the property owner an area to sit outside and putting this to the side. So it's a little tight back there. It is tucked right up against the setback. The pool equipment, pool fence is all right up against that setback line. In fact, Doug made some revisions to the plans to reflect the fact that we have to make sure that everything fits just correctly. And he's showing on the screen now the area of the pool equipment right up against the setback line. The pool is going to be right up there. So you can see there's very limited, I'll call it pool terrace area. It's not a lot, frankly. It was the best they could do to fit the pool in this small area. So it'll be nice to have the pool, but there's not a really large pool terrace. It's a nice balance between having some yard area and having the pool tucked right up.
And the other point too, Jeremy, is if we centered the pool and the house there, they would lose a majority of the green space back there and lawn area for the kids to play around in area. I know some in the front area, but that they pulling this pool center it, then it will be limited in terms of open space for the kids to play around. So by putting it on that one side there, this keeps the area open for the kids to play in, things like that. So
That's fine. Now, just all the stuff that's in this setback area, is that the pool equipment?
pool equipment's right here. It's right here, Steve.
Okay. And this other stuff that's on Matt Pop's design, that's just really stairs?
Let me pull that drawing up.
You're in the right spot. It was blue. These are just stairs? That's all it is?
Yeah, these are just steps. These are just steps going down into to that lower area.
Okay.
That's all that is.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. George or Jennifer, anything at this point?
Nope, I think that's thorough. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, and just to reiterate again, EPC already signed up on the application.
That is correct, Steve. EPC
Yep.
did approve it.
We have their note in the file.
Yes.
You and Darren had some little bit of back and forth too.
Right, and Fred had one comment too, and that was what we revised the plans. Again, the patio was too close to the property line on the southeast side here, so that's been adjusted. And then like Darren and I had some conversation, some comments back and forth, and those were all addressed.
Fantastic, thank you. Would anybody in the public domain like to speak to this application?
And Steve, maybe before you go,
You want to go, George? You want someone else to go?
just a quick comment or question. You provoked by discussion of the approval of EPC. The letter I see of September 3 says it's conditional. Was it later finalized?
I think it's conditional upon us.
Right, one condition was estimate to the drainage system. Make sure the plants survive. Nothing unusual. It's
Right.
all typical conditions.
So just conditioned on our approval, maybe.
Pretty much, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody in the public like to speak to this application?
Yes, I would. Hi, my name is Jerry Gibney. I live at 30 Catalpa Terrace. I'm the blue house on the other side of the lawn over there. My biggest two concerns are, number one, noise. The Patels have been, to be fair, a fairly noisy neighbor. They don't control their dog. It barks constantly. This will include a lot more noise that we'd have to deal with. Light pollution, I see you laughing, Jeremy. What am I going to do? Secondly, the house next door to them, I think it's 2580, just changed hands. And those people may not be aware of these plans. So you see, right, we just moved up to where that border is, lawn, et cetera, below the pool. Those people should be allowed to look at this and comment on it also. That's it from me.
We have a recommendation letter from those people. It's submitted to the zoning board.
Sure, you have to just state your name for the record.
My name is Jerry.
Rajat Gupta, I'm the owner of the house.
Thank you, sir. And for the neighbor that just spoke,
There's two letters of, Mr. Gupta has explained that there's two letters of support that have been received. One from Mr. Dicey at 2560 Post Road, that's in the record. And the other from Francis Flaherty at 2586 Boston Post Road, both supporting the application. They just came in earlier today.
all right. And as per state regulations, Darien regulations, neighbors do have to be notified of this. The regulations have been lifted a little bit and relaxed a little bit because of COVID, as per the order, but everyone gets notified. Okay. Would anybody else like to speak to this application? Seeing none, we ready to close? I would entertain a motion to close from George. Yep. Jennifer's gonna second. Yep. All's in favor? Thank you.
All right.
Great, appreciate it, Jim. Okay, done. Thank you, Doug. We will,
Thank you, Steve.
hold you, sir. Stick around, Doug. We might need you again. Gotta have some fun, right?
You got it. Let's see, the last one is Brown. Let's see, what we got here.
You're on a roll. I don't know what inning it is, but the Yankees better. All right. 26 Peach Hill Road. Here we go, next. Land filling and regrading application number 487, Jeffery Brown, 26 Peach Hill Road, proposal to raise the existing residence and construct a new single-family dwelling further west of the existing residence, install a pool and spa, a new driving areas, regrade the property to create a level yard area, and development activities. The 0.9 plus acre subject property is located on the 725 feet west of its intersection with Mansfield Avenue, and is shown as Assessor's map number 6 as lot number 129 in the R2 zone. This is a big 3-acre piece of land. That's a flag lot behind another house. Someone's going to explain to you what the trust was next door. We're going to build a new house further back in the lot, and Doug DeVesta, I think, is our engineer. Is new to the commission. Is going to take us out. What am I doing? 1 minute, Mr. Jeremy? All right,
No,
Fred?
it's basically, the issue here is the regrading associated with the construction of not only the house, but the property slopes from west to east. And at the bottom of the hill, on the most eastern part of the site, are some inland wetlands. So they're doing some regrading work near the wetlands. That went to the Environmental Protection Commission. We put a copy of their approval in your packets. EPC noted that it's a high-functioning wetland, but they're actually making improvements to make the wetlands better. So they're putting a new house on the property, new drainage system, and at the bottom of the hill, right above the wetlands, they're creating a level flat area for a yard area to play in. And so that's the regrading you're looking at. The property is sloped, but you're looking at it solely from a regrading aspect.
And we have a copy of the Environmental Protection Commission conditional approval again in our file.
Yeah.
And we also have comments from Doug DeVesta, from Darren Estefan. Hey, Doug DeVesta.
Okay.
Before Doug starts, Steve, can I just ask Jeremy a question?
Of course.
Yeah, an application was filed at the ZBA, and it was not approved. Can you just explain that and why we're looking at this thing now, so that everybody has a context in which to
Right.
think about this?
The variance request to the zoning board was to allow the property owner to live in the existing house and construct the new house on the same property at the same time. Right now, in this zone, the regulations only allow the establishment of one single-family residence per lot. And so they wanted to be allowed a permit to construct a second residence because they'd be living in the first one. The zoning board of appeals denied that request. So the property owner will not be able to do that. They'll have to move off the property to demolish the house and to construct the new residence. So that was what the variance was. It doesn't affect any of the dimensional requirements here. The proposal complies in all respects with the regulations.
Yeah, that's pretty much pro forma, Jim. That, when I was on ZBA, people used to do that once in a while, but they have to move to Avalon.
No, I
So
understand.
I have just comment. I'd like to just comment here. So I think that's silly. I'd just like to go on public record. If someone's buying a house and it fits, like in Greenwich, right? People do that all the time, Old Greenwich, Riverside. I think if you're non-infringing in your new property, I just don't think, I mean, ZBA can call me after this meeting and tell me that I'm nuts, but I think it's kind of silly. If you can build your property while we're keeping the other residents, why shouldn't the homeowner be able to do that?
Let me ask the following question of either Steve or Jeremy. When does the new house become a residence?
Well,
I mean, can we not approve a plan that has the new house, the new house is intended to be built in the old house, and just simply make the whole thing conditioned upon destroying the old house once the new house is substantially completed?
Right. Jim, I did have a conversation with Neil Hauk and Rob Metzger, the architects, and I explained that when the building permit for the new house comes in, we wouldn't be able to approve that new permit because there's already a house on the property and there would be two structures going on. As Steve mentioned, we can certainly explore the possibility of changing the zoning regulations to allow this type of thing in the future. In the past, the Zoning Board of Appeals has approved some of these and denied some of these, depending on the specific circumstances. So it's certainly something, if the commission wants to change the regulations, we can certainly work on that going forward and have a proposal before you, after the first year, if that's something the commission wants to do.
Yeah, the rule's been on the books for years. So if you want to change the rule in the books, we can, but.
But some people have been allowed to, no? I mean, that's my issue is, and our neighboring towns, some allow it, some don't. I have a family member who did it in his property in Old Greenwich.
Trust me, those guys, some of the things that the other towns do, when we're getting off topic, we don't really want to get involved.
All right, well, I still think we should explore this one.
There you go. All right, we will.
Thank you.
Doug, where are you?
I'm right here. I'm still here.
Okay, Doug DeVesta, go ahead.
Okay, again, Doug DeVesta, professional engineer, represent the applicant. With me tonight on this meeting is the owners, Jeff Brown and his wife. Rob Metzger is here, the architect from Neil Hawk's office, and then Bruce Eckerson, the landscape architect. So if you have any questions regarding the house design layout, Rob can talk about that, landscaping, and Bruce can talk about that. I'll go over general site conditions and what we're proposing to do. If they have questions, they can certainly answer those. So let's go back to the existing conditions map. This is the existing condition map that was prepared by Archimon surveyors. We have Peachtree Road, which is to the east, comes off of Middlesex. It's a long driveway, a common driveway that serves this house and the house to the south of us. The existing house is located, I'm going to call it the lower third of the property. with an asphalt driveway to the garage that's underneath the house. Wetlands were flagged by Jim McManus, which is, as Jeremy mentioned, located along the lower portion of the property, along the easterly property line. It goes all the way down to Hollow Tree Ridge Road. Back, I think it was 2000, I believe it's 2006, 2016, the house to the south of us was renovated. And at that point, a sewer line was brought up, a force main was brought up from this existing sewer line in Peach Hill Road up to service the house to the south of us, with a second line serving this proposed lot here. So that's the property itself. So now let's look at the proposed conditions. Again, this map is just going to show the development area. The existing house, basically where my cursor is right around in here. It was on an existing septic system, which is located south of the house. They're pushing the house further back towards the west, with two driveways, one serving a front courtyard parking area with a detached garage with a portico connecting the two pieces together, with another garage, another parking court area to service the garages. And above that would be a living office space for Jeff's home office. Also, we're proposing a pool patio and a spa and behind the house itself, and then with some retaining walls to going into the hillside there. There will be where the existing driveway is located, there will be a area that be leveled off. That will become a play area, playing field for the kids. Also, we use it for our detention system. We're looking at this one now because we're inland now, so we have looked at a full stormwater management design plan for this. We looked at it as a fresh meadow, looked at the property as a vacant piece of property, and then we looked at the development parcel. We'll be collecting the runoff from the patio areas through some channel drains, roof drains, collecting the water from the roof area, catch basins in the driveway, the two driveway areas, trench drains at the end of each driveway, which will be brought down and tie into a detention system that will handle the 2, 10, 25, and 50-year design storm. And we have a reduction in flow from pre to post development. Then it will be metered out into a level spreader where the water will now sheet flow in an easterly direction through the wetlands area. Then we're going to be tying in taking the sewer via a grinder pump from the house, and that'll go tie it back into the existing force main that was installed back in 2016, and that will be tied into the sewer system in Peach Hill Road. Landscaping, we're planning, maybe Bruce can go a little more detail in landscaping, but we are putting some ornamental cherry trees just west of the playing area. I'm trying to save some of the larger trees throughout the property here that is important to our client. The house will be is served by a on-site wells, with one here and on the other side of the property. Those will be maintained for the proposed house. Bruce, maybe you want to just go over your landscaping plan a little bit, just so you can fill the commission is on to what kind of plants we're putting out there and things like that.
Sure, Doug. Do you have a copy of the plan you can put up?
I certainly do. There you go.
Doug, just to double check, the Caltech system or the water retention system is underneath the lawn play area, which is like a soccer field?
That's correct. That's correct. These are only 8-inch tall systems, so it's fairly shallow. It's a fairly shallow system. The soils weren't the best in the area, but they were adequate to handle the drainage system out there. So we kept it fairly shallow, so you don't have to raise that area up too much. Keep it, have a minor filling in that general area.
Okay. And then someone's going to answer just the retaining walls you're putting around this soccer field. That's all.
That is correct. They're I think Bruce went like a 2 feet high at the most, I think.
The upper one is more like 4 and the bottom one is more like 3.
Okay, so 3 foot along the bottom side and 4 foot above on the upper side here.
Okay.
Right, trying to balance the cut and fill where the gap is on the east and west side. I'm sorry, the north and south ends is about where the cut fill line is.
All right, why don't you take us through real quick, Bruce, because this is way set back up the road, so no one's gonna really see it. But you can go through it if you want to real quick.
Sure. So the idea was to maintain as many of the big trees on the property as possible, particularly the 2 oak trees, one by the entry courtyard and one between the 2 driveways. And also around the perimeter, we're going to try to keep as many of these trees as possible. Due to the site development, there are some trees that have to come down around the house and the garage area and the driveway area. So we're basically proposing to remove about 11 trees, but on this plan, we're showing the addition of 41 new trees between evergreen screening and ornamental cherries, as Doug had mentioned, and some other ornamentals around the house. Below the proposed play area, we're proposing a buffer planting using a mixture of native shrubs and perennials. Again, we're basically showing it all the way, the full length of the field, leaving a pathway in between so that, soccer balls or whatever go over the wall. There's a way to get down and get those. And those plants total about 330, plants to cover those kind of two planting areas there. Any questions?
No, I think we're in good shape. My only question was that proposed residence in the middle or proposed, I don't know what's calling plans. Yeah, there's a proposed residence in the middle.
Oh.
Right here, Steve.
One
So
next to it. I think
The
it's
house,
that,
the house, there's a detached garage. It shouldn't really say proposed. It's all a part of the same residence. It's the 2 footprints are attached both underground under the driveway with the tunnel and also with the parco share over the top. So the footprints are showing separate, but they're actually one structure.
Right, so that's the owner's home office. Got it.
Correct. With the garage underneath, there's a full story underneath the proposed garage area just because of the change of grade of the site.
Okay, got it. Commissioners, any questions for these 2 professionals? Jen, you want to go first? 1 second, George, you're up. Jen, give me please hold. You good? I can't tell if people are on mute or not.
I am fine. No questions.
Thank you, sir.
All good here.
And Jim Rand, you okay?
Well, I have the following question, and I don't know who I should address it to, probably Doug, but if the applicant were to apply for a change in zone, that would allow him to do what I understand he originally intended to do, which is build a new house, live in the old house, tear the old house down. Is there room to do that? I held the drawings one on top of the other in the light and tried to, but I couldn't tell whether there's enough room or not.
Well, Jim, here's my plan blown up. It was laid out by Neil Hawk's office there to make sure that the main structure and the detached garage were away from the existing residence. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight the existing residence for you, which is right here.
Okay, I didn't see that. Okay.
So there's the existing residence. So this is the back screen porch right here, and here's the garage. So it is well away from it. Obviously, the driveway couldn't be constructed completely at that time until the house is removed, but the structures can be constructed without interfering with the existing house.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, back to you, Jen.
Sure. So my one question, or I guess just to note, so for the stormwater management, and then I heard Doug talk about the soil quality. I guess just making sure that the maintenance measures seem to be more important in this particular site. Am I correct, Doug, in that assessment?
Yes, what each of the catch basins we've got proposed in the driveway areas, and the junction boxes here will all have 2-foot sumps in there, and they will also have a hood on there, so they'll collect any sediment that will collect. It's 2 feet below the invert or the outfall of the pipe there, so sediment will collect into that area, with a secondary collection point at the junction boxes before they go into the detention system itself. So we feel that it should be adequate to handle any kind of any sediment that may get in there, debris, leaves, and things of that nature. Yes, they'll have to be maintained. Probably the catch basins will have to be checked twice a year, the spring and the fall, and cleaned out as necessary. Same thing with the junction boxes.
Okay.
And the only one that, Jennifer, just for edification, if they don't clean them out, they're just flooding their own house. So
I
it's
know.
not-
I'm just making sure they're aware of that because it's a daunting process building a house, and that caught my eye. So.
Great. And the last thing is, Doug, can you Darren Ostafine's letter talked about the 2 separate retention systems, and you answered his letter. You just make sure we're on the same page with that thing.
There's only one detention system out here.
Yep, I got that.
And Darren had talked about 2, but there's only one. And that's all. It was designed this way because as we mentioned earlier on, the property slopes from west to east. So everything drains there. What Darren did talk about was increasing the level spreaders here. I had that 20 feet, I made them 30 feet. That's about as much as I want to get closer to the north property lines. Also, what we're looking at too is we're putting a French drain along the easterly property line because right now there is water from the neighbors, some pumps discharged onto the property, and that flows down towards the existing house. We wanted to cut that off well above the proposed house, and we're bringing that down to a secondary level spreader here to allow that water to sheet flow down towards the east there. So if that's what he's talking about, two detention systems or 2 drainage systems, those are the 2 drainage systems that we've got on the property. Any other questions that Darren had, we felt that we've addressed his comments.
Understood. I think the commission's good. Let's open up to the general public. Would anybody in the public domain like to speak to this application? And Fred, do you have anybody in the chat box?
No, I don't, Steve.
Okay. All right, great. Looks like a good job. And it's site that's way in the back, and it's a 2-acre zone. It's a 3-acre piece of property. I'd entertain a motion to close. Jennifer, and seconded by Jim Riley. I can see your hand.
Yes.
Get Rand, he's what I was shooting for. All right, all those in favor?
Both
Aye.
of us.
All right, well, thank you, folks. We'll get back to you.
I'm signing off, Steve. That's it for me. I'm done.
Oh, all right, come back again.
I will.
All right, what do we have next? Just bear with me 1 second, what's your name? Get this out of the way. All right, last but not least. Okay, here we go. Last one of public hearings, amendment to subdivision application number 164, B as in boy, Christopher Muller at 2 Eddy Lane. Request to allow planning and landscaping maintenance work within a designated conservation area and open space area and to perform related site development activities. The 0.4 plus or minus acres subject property is located on the southeastern terminus of Eddy Lane, approximately 300 feet east of its intersection with Noroton Avenue, and is shown on assessment map number 42 as lot number 151A in the R1/5 zone. This is the item of the house that was on a general meeting item a couple weeks ago. We asked them to file a formal application. It's another pack with the formal application. If you remember, the commissioners would have the legal documents, which are the deed filings in their old application. Tonight, we just have pretty much some pictures and a new blown up plan. And just to make sure all the neighbors were notified about this one?
All the neighbors were notified, every property owner within 100 feet of the application. All the application materials submitted were posted on the town website as we received them. So what's on the town website is what the commission members have in your packets right now, which shows you would ask that the plantings be shown on an updated survey or accurate survey. And that's the plan that with the color that you have before you, which is put on the town website, and more details and photographs which are helpful. And Jordan Grant is here on behalf of the applicant to explain the proposal and answer any questions you have.
Yeah, hi, Jordan and Lisa Grant, Minuteman Land Services regarding 2 Eddy Lane. We have revised our plan to allow a sight line for a neighbor that was concerned with it. His name is specifically mentioned in the application. I've personally spoken to Mr. and Mrs. Spataro. They're okay with the changes we've made. We've eliminated approximately 4 sections of fence in measurement, which is about 32 feet. And we've eliminated all the evergreens in that run. And we've added 2 dogwoods, just so it doesn't look like a giant gap. They are okay with this. I have also spoken to Mr. Bigelow, who I see is here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Okay. My only question is, if you go to your site plan, there's the area that's outside of the bushes, not that one, the other one. What's the other one you had up? You switched the plan, sir?
Can we switch the plan here, Lisa? Is that what you're asking me to do?
You had the other one up a second ago.
No, we're looking at the same as what's in.
No, the same plan. I see it.
No, the color one.
Yeah, that's the one that you have up here that we're looking at.
I'm looking for this one. This is from that. No?
It should be the thing on a different plan.
Yeah, we reduced it down so it just looks at the subject area here on the southern side of the property.
Right. Can you just go back to the one you had up on the screen a minute ago?
So Steve, I have, this is Fred Donai. I have the plan up on the screen. I'm displaying it from my computer. Are you not seeing the site plan with the plantings?
No, we're not looking at the color one that was there before.
Hold on a second.
This is the same one that was up.
Yeah, I'm looking for that. I don't know if this is lawn, that's all.
Yes, there's an area that's lawn right now. This is what we're talking about now. Mr. Ovani is referring to the area of the open space, which is behind the Bigelow house and the Rastosi house. There's an area that's planted right now, but the area behind that, between that and I'll call it the driveway area, is now currently lawn, and it has been lawn for a very long time.
Yes.
Okay.
So what you're doing, Jordan, is filling in some of the areas in the open space with some additional plantings in that open space area, which I'll call the southern portion of the open near the property line. You're filling it in. There are a number of tall trees in there now. You're making a more planted, thicker planted area.
Yes.
To maneuver things around the existing larger vegetation. There's some larger evergreen trees. And as you get closer to Mr. Spataro's area, as you get further to the east, there's some large, I don't think they're oaks, they might be elms with large branches that spread out that make it difficult for things to grow underneath. So you selected certain things that will grow underneath those trees, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And
That,
as-
the arborvitae that we're using will tolerate the shade, will also be somewhat stunted by that shade, but we're removing any dead, dying, or hanging limbs from that area, which there are quite a few, and we're thinning out the canopy to allow more sunlight through to these new plantings. We are not taking out any massive trees. All the large trees are staying.
I'd be Peter Bigelow. Okay, I would like to hear from the neighbors to see if anyone has any questions, but for the commissioners first. George, any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay, Jonathan, I lost you.
No questions.
Jim,
No questions for me.
okay. Would anybody in the public domain like to speak to this?
Yes, this is Virginia Otis. I'm at 17 Dickinson Road on the east side of the property.
Yep.
And I have some questions.
Right ahead.
Do I understand correctly that the east side abutting my property will have a kind of a solid wall of arborvitae?
I wouldn't go as far as to say solid, Mrs. Otis. We're leaving everything that we can possibly leave to keep that border natural. And wherever we can open up gaps, we're going to fit in arborvitaes, not in a row. They're going to be staggered in a natural way. If you look out there now, there are a couple of existing arborvitaes, which is the same variety we're going to be putting in. Your screening towards the Muller residence will be better. In the winter, you will have screening, whereas you don't have any now.
Right. Okay. I'll take your word for that. What happens to the vegetation that's between those arborvitaes and my property line? There's about 15 feet of open space.
Well, if I understand correctly, it's the rear border of my client's property, the Muller's property.
Yes.
And this work is within that 15 feet. Outside of that 15 feet, lawn. And quite honestly, I don't think it's a 15-foot wide area. It's probably from his wall to the edge of this new planting area is only about 6 feet, 7 feet.
Well, I thought the original plans about 20 years ago required 15 feet open space along that property line.
Yes, that's exactly correct. But
she's wondering about the trees between.
anything large that exists that's not dead or dying or unsafe, let's say, will remain.
Okay.
Hey, Peter, can you mute your computer?
Mute my computer?
Yes, just for a minute. Thank you.
Sure.
Will the remaining trees along that 15-foot strip be protected?
They're protected
from damage or anything like that? I can tell you within the last 20 years, every owner of that property has cut down major trees without permission. And I'm out there screaming, saying, don't cut down these trees, and notifying planning and zoning about that. The first time it was done, the major trees were taken down, and the remaining trees that had been sheltered by the big trees, first wind that came along, they fell over, and of course they fell into my property. So I became responsible for the cleanup, and those people were responsible for that damage. So I want to make sure that I'm not going to have that situation again.
I understand. I'm happy to come by and walk you through, Mrs. Otis, and explain to you what we're doing, what we're keeping, what we're proposing to take out, where the location of these new trees would be. If you have a specific sight line that you want to deal with, for instance, from your kitchen window to their kitchen window, when we do the new installation of these evergreens, I'm happy to have you be part of that.
Okay, I'd welcome a visit to go over those changes.
I will contact you separately this
Okay,
week. And
that's great. And I have one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Who will be responsible for taking care of all of these new trees you're putting in and the trees behind those trees?
That is the responsibility of Mr. Muller at 2 Eddy Lane, because the conservation easement falls within his property. Or actually, I take that back. He doesn't own it, but he is in charge of maintaining it. And he's raised his hand, and I'm sure he put that in writing, that he'll maintain the open space. Whether he contacts his other two neighbors, the original Eddy property and the one adjacent to him, to help in that expense, that's his prerogative. But he will not be looking to any abutting neighbors to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But he asked permission, like you're doing now, the Planning and Zoning Commission, to touch either of those two areas. And that's what we have this.
Yeah, well, that's nice in theory, but the previous owners just went ahead and did what they wanted to do without notifying you. And I became the person who notified Planning and Zoning. And by that time, the trees had been cut down and there was nothing that could be done.
Right. That's why we did a stop order on Mr. Muller.
Right. I guess the only question would be, Gordon, one question would be, would it be helpful to, we have little markers for conservation easements, putting a marker back there at the 15-foot mark?
We're happy to do that, absolutely.
That might be helpful to future owners.
That's here.
Yep.
This is conservation and this is
Open space, right? Yeah. Okay. I think there's Mr. Bigelow and Mr. Spataro.
Mr. Bigelow, Mr. Spataro, I see you're on the in the meeting. Would you speak?
Well, this is Jim. Yeah, Lauren and I met with Jordan yesterday. Yeah, we don't have any issues with any of his revised plan.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bigelow, you're an alumni. Turn your, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, and as it's a public hearing, I have to give the old disclaimer that for 10 years I served in the Planning and Zoning Commission, and during that time, Eddy Lane was developed. At that point in time, I recused myself as I was an abutting neighbor, and here I am years later. I've spoken to Jordan, and I have no problems with the overall concept. Behind my property, we've liked the open space, be able to see through and see behind us. And I guess it's because prior to Eddy Lane being developed, it was an open area and we could see through, and it gave us more of a feeling of neighborhood. I did contact him via email requesting that instead of having arborvitae behind our property, that if he did azaleas or rhododendron or something that was lower and would flower, it would be preferred. And I do voice the one concern with this whole project, which is it's going to be a maintenance issue. And while Mr. Muller is willing to take on that challenge, I want to make sure that somehow in all the documentation that future owners realize that they have potentially bought into the maintenance of the landscaping plan. That's my comment.
That's fine. It is already on the land records, as you know, both the conservation easement and the open space easement. So that was filed on the land records, and we have the documentation. I think.
Want it in the records.
Yes, we can definitely put it in this resolution too.
Yep.
But we're not going to file anything else on the land records.
We'll have to. In this case, no, it's already in the land records.
Right. One other comment is for Jordan. I'd like to walk the property behind us because there are a couple of, I'll say, sprouting maples that may be worth keeping, some which probably should be cleaned out so that long term you have some variety of plantings back there.
I saw the saplings that you were discussing that you mentioned to me.
Mm-hmm.
We have no intention of touching really anything that abuts your black fence back there.
Mm-hmm.
We're not adding any trees there either, Mr. Bigelow. We're not. You're going to stay exactly the way you are. Our work starts at the white fence that connects to yours and work our way down.
Okay, very good.
We're doing nothing to block your view.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's what the plan says. It was right here.
Jordan, the plan,
Your plan.
Some trees, are those?
No, the on the southern side of the plan, you see a row of evergreens. That's not Mr. Bigelow's property. That's a garage. There's a garage on the other side of that.
Hold on, Steve. Hold on. There was a
Mr. Rostowski. We're not
yeah.
planting in front of Bigelow. That stays open.
A slightly revised plan.
Okay.
There was a version that showed trees there. The revised version does not.
It's the revised version that after talking to people.
As long as it's fine. We gotta close this thing. But
Yep.
I don't know what he's talking about.
It's the revised plan. Just kidding.
Got it. Okay. Anybody else in the public domain like to speak to this application? Hearing none, I think we entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close.
That's Jennifer Lee, seconded by George Riley. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great, fantastic. Great, that concludes our public hearing for tonight. Public hearing, yep. Now it is, the debate just started. Approval of minutes. We'll go right into the minutes. We have two sets of minutes to approve. Let's go September 1st. Has everybody got that ready? The first thing was the mandatory referral. That's the first time we saw it. Then we have the second hearing for Pear Point School.
Right, we made some changes. George Riley noted some concerns at the last meeting. So on page 2, you'll see the changes to a certain paragraph that George felt needed.
Gordon Grant, could you mute your microphone, please, sir? Thank you. Bingo. Okay. The only thing that I mentioned, and we went over this a couple of years ago, can we call him Attorney Gleason versus Mr. Gleason?
Sure.
That comes up like 1,000 times. Same with Mr. Maslin, Attorney Maslin.
Okay, we'll change that.
We started.
Will be changed.
Okay, please, that'd be great. Then where are we going next? The next one we had on Contentment Island, where they put in a new bigger pool. Then we had 9 Archer Lane, which got built in his backyard, and then some resolutions. Does anybody else have any edits, changes, scrivener's errors to these minutes? Jennifer's saying no. George Riley's saying no. And Jim Rand is, I think, sure of it. Okay. With that,
No.
thank you, Jim. With that said, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes approved as edited. Yes. That's Jennifer said yes, made the motion.
Yes.
And seconded. All in favor? Great.
Jim Rand, yes.
Jim Rand, yes.
4-0. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have the minutes from September 8th. We had the second, no, Sundry got passed. We had the second, third, man for a referral. The other thing that I changed on the Eddy Lane discussion, which is mobile subdivision, Eddy Lane, Mr. Spataro spoke at that meeting. His name's not mentioned in here. It said Jerry DeMiglia from 915 Dickinson spoke. He might have, but Spataro spoke at that meeting.
We can reference that in the same paragraph.
That's fine.
Okay.
I think that's the only thing I have. Jennifer, Jim, or George, anything on these minutes?
No, nothing for me.
Thank you. George, you good? Yeah. Jim Rand, you good?
Jim wasn't at the meeting, but he might have watched it on TV.
I'm good.
Okay.
Jim's good.
I would accept the motion to approve as edited from Jennifer, and George seconded. In favor? Great. Approved. Or nothing. Thank you. Next thing on the agenda is director's report. That's Jeremy.
Nothing to report other than we'll cancel next week's meeting. Our meeting after that will be Tuesday, October 13th. Steve and I were just discussing, depending on how the agenda shakes out, it could be just a general meeting with no hearing. And the question we had for you, if there's not too many agenda items and not too many people showing up, it might be possible to have the meeting in this room if you're comfortable with that, more spread out. I don't know, you probably can't see this room, but almost all the chairs have been taken out. I leave it to the commission.
I'm not comfortable. I will not be doing that. I need my kids to stay in school. No offense. I'm not trying to get anything from anyone I don't need to.
Okay, we'll push it off.
I'm happy to zoom in though, or go meeting in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fine. We can keep it go to meeting, but if anyone else wants to show up in the town hall, you're more than welcome. I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll sort it out, but we'll keep the remote meetings then.
Okay, we'll keep it as remote meetings. That's fine. You done?
I'm done.
Chairman report. I don't have anything to report really. The only thing I want to just make sure we don't forget is the 830G moratorium expires a month from, I don't know, 3 weeks from today. We still do have a pending legal battle in that. I'm excited that we have the subcommittee to review the other items. We may want to get a subcommittee to review our strategy to get the next moratorium. We can talk about that another time. That's it. Any other business? This is special business. We can't add anything to the agenda.
That's correct.
That's it, folks. Anything to add? Motion to close. I got Jennifer.
I'm gonna make a motion to close. I didn't get a chance to make any motions.
All right, Jim gets the motion to close. Jennifer gets the second. And George Riley. Here we go. All right, folks. Thank you. We're all set.
Thank you.
Thanks.